Friends, look at this brake rotor. I have never seen anything like that before in my life. Well, it's the next day and it's pouring rain outside. So you know what that means. We're going in the garage. All right, guys, so here we are back in the garage and let's get started on the brakes on my wife's vehicle. Okay, so here's what we're up against. As you can see, some pretty serious rust ridges. And I suspect that's what's causing my vibration in the back. Yeah, these things are pretty old. Looking pretty old anyway. They're only about a year and a half old. Looks like we got lots of pad material left. You can see in there. All right, so what we're going to do next, we're going to soak this guy with some penetrating fluid. We're going to soak around here with penetrating fluid. And then we're going to remove the bolts on the back of the bracket, remove the caliper, and take it apart. Okay, so these are considerably worse than I thought they were. There's some serious gouging and rust all around. So I guess what we're just going to do is I'm going to start by cleaning them up with the wire brush here. Once I have them cleaned up, if I can get them cleaned up enough, I'm going to go to a hard pad and we're going to grind down the ridge and see if we can get that off of there. Like I said, we just had a slight pulsation. I'm surprised we only had a pulsation. Just had a slight pulsation. And these only have to last about another 4 months until we turn the lease in. And this is the second set that I put on the vehicle. I don't want to put another set on. So yeah, let's give her. All right, now the compressor shut off. So it's very important to clean the mating surface of the rotor where it meets the hub assembly, and or some vehicles have axles on the back. The reason for making sure this is clean is that so the rotor sits nice and flush up against the hub and you don't get a vibration. If you get a chunk of rust stuck in the middle here somewhere, let's say you get a little bubble of rust, you go ahead, you torque your wheel, you put your rotor on, you're going down the road, you think everything's great, all of a sudden the vibration reduces that little piece of rust to nothing. The rotor seats itself nice and flat. Now you got a loose rotor and a loose wheel nut. So very important when you're cleaning, when you're installing, when they're new it's not bad, but when you're installing pre-existing rotors, make sure that this surface is clean. And I'll show you the mating surface on the other side that has to be clean as well. So I'm going to continue grinding this. I might skip over to my other, I'm going to give it a bit more of the wire brush, and then I'm going to skip over to my hard roll lock disc. Oh, that whole ridge came right off. Again, the whole point here is not to remove steel, but it's to get all the rust off and just try and smooth them up and clean them up. All right, I have no idea what this is going to do, but we're going to give it a shot and see. Again, wearing hear protection and eye protection all the time. Respiratory protection too if it's lots of dust. All right, so here we got the first rotor cleaned up. It turned out pretty good. Now, again, this was not a process to remove metal. It was simply just to remove rust ridges and rust bumps that were on the rotor that may have been causing the vibration that I actually had when applying the brakes. They're not perfect. They're not beautiful. I know lots of you out there right now are probably screaming, but Northern Garage Guy, what are you doing? Run to the store. Go grab some rotors, dude. They're only like 45 bucks a piece or less. Throw them on. Sure, I could do that. Anybody could do that. But the whole point of this little project is to show you guys at home that, you know, if you don't try something, how do you know if it's not going to work? All I had was a vibration. I mean, I got lots of brake pad. There's nothing here that's dangerous. And what have I lost if I put it back together and it still vibrates? I've lost about an hour of my time, but I've saved $80. So, I mean, you know, this is just to prove a point, just to say, you know, we can clean these up, we can make them function. If they last another 6 months, another 7 months, so be it. It's all about trying. And I mean, why wouldn't you want me to fail, you know, so you guys can learn from this. Again, we talked about cleaning the mating surfaces right here. This is where the wheel is going to bolt onto. So we're going to get rid of this rotor for now. We're going to put it aside, and we're going to bring the caliper bracket up here, and we're going to clean that. All right, friends, so here we have the caliper brackets. the slide bracket that holds the houses the brake pads. This is it here. If you guys can see that, the brake pads are in there. These are the slide pins right here. Slide up and down, so there's grease in there. As you apply brake pressure on the pedal, what it does, the caliper squeezes the pad on the inboard side here, and when you release it, these compress and release. That's why it's very important that the slides, that your slides are always well lubricated and nice and loose. If these seize up or if the boots get damaged, what ends up happening is the caliper will seize to one side. The brake pad will ride the inside or the outside of the rotor and wear down the pad on that side. If you look at my pads here, I have pretty nice even wear. So that's an indication to me that these were operating properly. It's just the rusty rotors that gives us a rust ridge and gives us a vibration. And that's no fault of the vehicle, that's our fault. We don't drive it a whole lot, it sits, so it goes for about 30 kilometers per day, almost. We'll sit a couple of days, we'll sit 2 or 3 days, we'll sit a whole weekend without being used, and it forms rust. So let's take this guy apart, we'll head over to the bench, we'll take this guy apart, and we'll show you how to clean it up. One thing we need to pay really close attention to, as well as the mounting surfaces on the brake rotor that we did earlier. These are the mounting surfaces for the caliper bracket, and then these bolts, the bolts go through the knuckle and then into the bracket. So we got to make sure that these are nice and clean and rust free, and so there's no debris in there, so that when we torque them to the manufacturer specs, they're nice and flush and torqued properly. I'm going to give these a bath in the Varsol bin, as well as the bolts. We've got everything cleaned up. I cleaned up the brake pads as well with just a little piece of sandpaper, and you can see the different compounds in the brake pads. That's what I was talking about earlier. They're made up of a bunch of different compounds, and they're actually fragile. Looks like little pieces of copper or something in there. I know they're ceramic, and it's to dissipate the heat too, right? So yeah, we'll get these back together. Everything's cleaned up, dried off. The holes are all cleaned out. All my mounting surfaces, mating surfaces are all nice and clean. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to reassemble this caliper bracket, put the brake pads inside. little dirt on my face. Well, I have to say that I'm honestly totally baffled why the brake pads are so tight inside of the brackets. I mean, the clips appear to be, you know, nice and clean. Everything's seated properly. But man, oh man, those things are tight. I mean, they should be tight, but that tight? Really? So you can see I put a little bit of brake quiet on there. And that's just where the caliper actually touches the brake pads. Creates like a little barrier in between the two metals and prevents any brake squeal, or it's supposed to prevent brake squeal or brake noise. But yeah, these are nice and free, moving freely in and out. And I just stuck my finger in the thing, and I cut myself. Yeah, on those clips, they're very, very sharp. All right, so let's head back over to the car. I'll throw the rotor back on, and then I'm going to clean up the bolts for the brackets because I have to put some Loctite as per the manufacturer. And yeah, let's head over to the car. Okay, so here we are back at the car, and we discussed mating surfaces earlier. This is the mating surface for the rotor, right here. It mates to this surface here, so we just want to ensure that this is nice and clean, so that they, so that they seat nice and flush. There's no rust stuck in between. So let's start cleaning it. So this caliper, to compress the actual caliper piston back in, some of them you just need to put a little bit of pressure on and they compress. This one actually has to twist to go in. I don't have the right tool to twist it in, so normally what I just do, I just put a little bit of pressure on it with the clamp. Grab with these till my pliers get jammed. Also being very careful not to mar any of the surfaces. I shouldn't have to put it in a whole lot. As you can see, the clamp is already loose. And that should be okay. We'll find out in a few minutes. If not, we can always turn it again. So let's keep putting it together. Yeah, haha, the dumb Canadian put the brake pads on upside down. Okay, so I got that side all back together. Now I'm going to jack up the other side and start on that one. Won't bore you guys with all the small details that I did on this side, but I'll take some video and you guys can check it out. I'm anxious to see the other rotor, so let's go take it off. So there's a very fine line between saving a couple of dollars, putting stuff back together, seeing if it works, and safety, especially the safety of my family, or whether it be one of your customers or even a friend. I'm going to show you what I just found with this brake rotor. Now, like I said, I replaced these rotors probably 30,000 kilometers ago. So check this out. Friends, look at this brake rotor. I have never seen anything like that before in my life. I mean, I've seen some rough rotors with deep gouges. I have never seen a rotor metal delaminate like this. Almost as if it was a separate piece on the top and just delaminate, like destroyed. I can understand a bit of rust, but my God, that is crazy. So I am not going to be putting this back on. It's not worth it. Even to try it, I'm not even going to bother. I know this is this is most definitely what my vibration was, or my thumping noise when I applied the brakes. And it is just, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, honestly. It's just bad. Real bad. So I guess my wife will be taking the Avalanche to work tomorrow. Not her vehicle. She's going to be super thrilled about that. And yeah. So what I'll do in the meantime is brake pads look fantastic, which is really, I mean, I don't understand why the brake pads are in such good condition. You know, there's no scoring, no lines in them. Maybe this one might have a little ridge on it. But, I mean, guys, look at that thing. So I'm going to disassemble the caliper bracket, clean it all up like I did with the other one, and grab a new rotor tomorrow. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome back to day 2 of my Buick project here at the Northern Home Garage. If you remember yesterday, we were working on the rear brake rotors on my wife's Buick. These were just in too bad a shape to do anything with them. So I'm not going to put those back on. So today I went to the local GM store, bought myself some AC Delco brake rotors. We're going to be throwing those on the Buick in just a couple of minutes. So like I said, better safe than sorry. You know, you can't put a price on safety, even if it was just a little project that I was going to try. So I say we just, you know, get at it. So after unboxing them, you'll notice that they're already cross-hatched, so there's no need to sand. They're the non-painted rotors. They're much more cost-effective, I guess you could say. But what you do have to do is we're going to have to wash them down with some non-chlorinated parts brake cleaner. And the reason for this is you need to remove the shipping oil that they come with. If you don't remove that oil, and when you apply the brakes, just the heat from the brake pads, you're going to end up with either smoke or gunked up brake pads, and it's really stinky. So let's wash these guys down. Alrighty, my friends, we are done. We've done both sides. Brand new rotors on both sides. And I just wanted to share with you guys a little tip and trick that I learned over the years. The brake pedal. After a brake job, it is pretty important to take away the space that you've created in the caliper when you actually compressed the piston so that you could get the pads over top of the rotor. You're left a lot of times with a couple of mil of space. What it does is that it reduces your brake efficiency on your first brake apply. So for instance, if I'm going to leave the garage, I start the vehicle, I put my foot in the brake, I put it in drive, I drive out. First time I hit the brakes, I might not have very good brakes, and that could cause an accident or maybe even injure somebody. So it's always a good idea that when you get into the vehicle, give the brake pedal a couple of pumps just to take away that slack in the caliper, and yeah, you should be safe. All right, so that will be brake rotors completed on the wife's Buick. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a little test drive. We're going to check for vibrations or any noises or smells that might come from there. And you know what, I'll give you guys a quick review on this 2017 Buick Encore. We've been driving it now probably 3.5 years. So I think I'm a pretty good candidate to tell you guys what we think about it, the pros and the cons, and yeah, how good it's going to go. So why don't we press the button and go for a ride, and I'll talk more about the car. Feels pretty good so far. Not bad. Just get out of the driveway, get onto the road. So yeah, like I was saying, we bought this Buick back in 2017. It was a bit of a downgrade for my wife in terms of vehicle size. She was driving a GMC Acadia before this, so it was considerably larger, but at that time we had small children, and you know, with small kids comes a lot of friends, and a little car just didn't suit our lifestyle anymore. So when she got out of the Acadia, we got her into this, and I'm gonna have to say, like, on a scale of 10, guys, I give this Buick a solid 9. The fuel economy is absolutely unbelievable. You know, we just did, I think it was 900 and some odd kilometers. We took a trip down south a couple weekends ago, and that trip there, I believe, we ended up spending, it was $67 in gas round trip. Phenomenal. And I'm talking highway speeds. You know, we're doing 110, 120 kilometers per hour. You know, that's 60, 70 miles an hour. And yeah, it was just fantastic. If I had any complaint about the vehicle at all, I guess the biggest complaint I would have would be in terms of the vehicle power. There's not a whole lot of power at highway speeds. All right. Now, what I mean by at highway speeds, I'm talking, you know, 100, 110 kilometers per hour. You step on the gas, it makes a lot of noise, but it doesn't move. It does have a small turbocharged 4-cylinder. I believe it's a 1.6 liter, if I'm not mistaken. Could be a 1.8. Not 100% sure, but I mean, it does the job. In terms of comforts, the vehicle is very comfortable. Long trips, you know, no sore backs, no sore legs. Everything's adjustable. You have the heated seats. This is an Encore Premium, so it's not the top of the line. We have the sunroof and all those kinds of conveniences, and they're really nice. The AC system and the radio system is fantastic. Nice cold air conditioning. The radio sounds amazing, and I'm not sure what kind of speakers are in there, Bose or what they are, but they sound fantastic. And yeah, another little complaint that I do have is the climate control buttons are really small. I mean, I don't have huge hands, but I can just imagine a guy that's got sausage fingers is going to have a really hard time with those buttons. You know, they're hard to navigate through, and the age I'm at now, in my mid-40s now, when I'm staring at these controls from here, you know, you notice I wear glasses. The emblems are really tiny. So that's another thing that I complain about. In terms of cargo space, just my wife and I, we drive around. We don't have kids with us very often. We have our grandkid that fits in the back, no problem whatsoever. But in terms of storage space, tons of storage space in the back. The back seats fold down. yeah, the lighting is phenomenal. It's got the HID lighting, and it is so bright. So this has it also has the lane departure and the cross lane detection alert. I guess alerts you if another vehicle is coming or if you're drifting out of your lane. Another really fantastic option with, you know, along with the backup camera and the sensors. So I mean, if I was going to recommend, if you're in the market for a used vehicle and you were looking at a Buick Encore and or the Chevy Trax, because they're both built on the same platform, I mean, fantastic value for your money. I have no regrets. We leased this one. We took a 4-year lease on it because we weren't sure about the size, whether or not it would actually work for us. But it works fantastic. And speaking of working fantastic, these brakes will put you in the windshield right now. They're awesome. No noise whatsoever. So I'm going to head out to the highway. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to head home. I'm going to close out this video right now, guys, in the car. You know what? Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notifications button, so any new videos that we post, you'll get notified that they're there. And thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all the comments, and talk to you soon.